Ooh, look over there. It's like a big Viking or something taking off. Welcome everybody. Today we're actually walking out to what we call the West Lift here at our shop. We have a oldie but a goodie, I guess, here. It's a 345 Pursuit. We're tasked to take it for a ride. Let me get it down and lift and I'll explain why. It's a 2011, pretty similar to the ones they make now, just the canvas, and a lot of the features are a little different because modern technology and everything has changed. But this one's actually been updated. It's got new Garmin's in it. Whoever has this one is taken pretty exceptionally well care of it. It's in really good shape. It's got twin 350 Yamis on it. Alright, we're down enough, at least we're not going to float away, but we can get everything fired up here. Let's get some batteries on. Let's fire up these motors. Get down in our cabin. And you can see the subtle differences. The woods are different in them. And this is a 2011, so it's a little different setup than it used to be. Basically the same thing, like I say. We got different material here. This I can tell has been changed for sure. And our components, we got a little bit older components here, but most everything's been updated in this boat. Let's fire up our generator. So this is actually our complaint. I guess the generator is running good, but when you run this thing and you take a hard turn, port or starboard, the generator wants to shut off. So what I'm gonna do is try to replicate exactly what the customer is saying is happening. So we'll go run it, do some weird turns, and see if we can get to mimic what's happening. Looks like everything's doing what it's supposed to. Let's load it up and make sure it's gonna stay running. It's 8 o'clock in the morning and it's already 90 degrees here. It's 79 in the cabin. It's probably 85 outside. All right, so everything's fired up. Let's get her down a lift and go for a ride. It's pretty tight in the lift, so we gotta squeeze her out of here. Let's make sure our bow thruster works. Yep, working good. All right, let's go. It's right against that pole there. Squeezed her in here. Watch out for that tiara behind us too. We don't want to run into that. A couple $1 million sitting right there. It's a pretty boat though. I like the big tiaras, they're nice. Yeah, you can see it. Look how narrow that lift is. It'll be fun getting it back in there. So our highest point is this window sticking up here. We've got a radar. It's about the same level. So we'll be able to go close to this bridge and see if it's going to hit. Looks pretty low because it's high tide right now. Look at that. It's pretty close. But we're clear. We're at the highest tide, so this thing she'll definitely clear on the way back through. In the Clearwater Marina, this is where all the tourist boats come out of, right behind here in this inlet here. They all take off out here. Look at one of our Regals running towards us here. Over here on our port side is where all these sailboaters. This is unclaimed water, I guess, where you can just live out here as long as you move your boat every week or two or something to another location. And they're always out here. Live-aboards. Suppose if that's how you want to live, more power to you. Still a little hot here, but it's a nice morning. I've got the air conditioner blowing on me right now. Right here is our resume operation zone here, so we're going to hammer down here in a second. Set the camera in the back. I love the sound of those V8s, they sound good. Yamahas always have a good, distinct sound to them. But once we get past this other no-wake zone by the bridge here, we'll be able to hit straight out and then do some loops or turns, whatever we can do to try to get this thing to shut off. And then we'll see if we can figure out why it's doing it. An easy way to tell is I got air blowing on me. Once this air shuts off, we know the generator quit. Oh, I should probably tell you too, I actually already opened the generator up, just did a quick inspection, made sure there's oil and there's nothing obvious happening. Everything looks pretty good. I hadn't started it until I started it with you guys, but it seemed to start, run, we got voltage. Everything's been on the whole time we've been running, so. I always hope things repeat themselves because sometimes it won't do it for me, or maybe the customer's doing something wrong. Really, I don't know. There's a lot of what ifs when it comes to this kind of stuff. It just says hard turn, generator shuts off. It's kind of vague, but we'll do some hard turns. I don't know if this is part of his complaints or not here, but we have we're stuck at the marina here. We're not even where I'm at. This is our slips. It's kind of weird. We're not going to rely on our GPS for anything. Lucky I might know the channels everywhere around here. And our depth finder's working. That's pretty important in case I run into something shallow, which we'll try to stay in line here. It's also weird too, our heading is working, so that means our autopilot system's working. Must be something with the antenna or something malfunctioning on this side. Oh, right when I said it, it comes back. That's funny. I guess it heard me talking to it. We're just gonna run it straight, wide open here. See if it does anything on the generator first. Then when we get up towards the boat ramp up here, we can spin some donuts and see if we can get it to shut off. We're all the way down. There's more trim we can get out of it. About half trim. Probably close to 6,000 RPMs, that's wide open. Looks like we go about 45 miles an hour before it stopped reading there. Boats handle the water really well. Alright, over there is the boat ramp by the Bel Air Bridge over here. But we have pretty big wide open water all over here. So let's spin some donuts and see if we can get this thing to mess up. Make sure there's no one around us here, so I'm not gonna bother anybody by creating a crazy wake. Big cabin area or this big cockpit area we got here, you can't really see when you turn hard. Everything blinds you because the boat leans so hard. Try different things. Let's just turn it and slowly try to get it going. Look how much I disturbed the water over there. Well, so far, generator's running good. We got some traffic in front of us here, so we'll try to wait for them. It's one of my customers right there. I think I seen him a couple days ago. It's funny. Pursuit 338 is a nice boat. Single Yamaha. It's a perfect boat for this Bay Area. You might be running into our dealership, you never know. Alright, let's try that again. Clear up traffic. Bridge, there's no wake zone here. You can see our Pursuit over here. Looks like he might be running towards us. We'll find out when I get back to the shop. I'm not really going to waste any more time trying to get this thing to shut off. I think we might need a little bit more information from the customer to properly diagnose what's happening here. Or maybe he needs to come take us for a ride. See if he can get it to do it for us. Well, at least this time of year, I don't get chased by storms as much as I usually do during the summer. It hasn't cooled off yet, but we're getting there. got about 10 degrees difference than what it used to be. Usually right about the end of October, beginning of November-ish area, we start to cool off a lot. And it looks like we're tracking. Oh, it's weird, it lost that a couple times, I don't know why. So I guess we're gonna have to ask some more questions to the customer here, because I don't know. Nothing's happening for me. And you see, we did some pretty hard donuts, wide open, back and forth. Everything's working perfectly, except for the GPS here. So we mosey this thing back to the shop and we'll see what's next. All right, so we got our next mission here. We're gonna head to Tampa to take a look at a 365 Sport Coupe. So I'll see you there. All right, so we made it out here. Now let's go find our boat. Well, there she is, hiding around the corner. So this is the old Sport Coupe 365. They don't make this anymore, but I've always been a fan of this. I'll show you why. The inside of it's really cool, and the engine room, I guess you would call it. But they tuck 350s under the cover here. So it looks like it would be inboards, but it's actually got outboards on it. I actually remember this boat has been in one of my videos, just because I replaced an VHF antenna, I think, or I did something to this quite a while back, one of my early videos. And it was raining. I remember that. That's probably why I like this. The cabin, everything else in this boat is laid out really cool. A lot of room in it. Look how big this is. You got all the amenities you need. Air conditioning. It's almost like a full kitchen here. And then instead of having like a bedroom that's low, you actually have pretty big second bedroom space here. And it also has a full-size bathroom. Just a very nicely set up boat. If it doesn't have a bowl sink, I'm not a fan. This one does. Another thing that's cool here, I'll show you. Go underneath into our compartment here. Let's go down in here. Look how much room is down here. You got tons of room to work on stuff. Everything's nicely laid out. This boat, the 365, gen set. The 365 was actually built by Tierra. I think it won Boat of the Year or something like that, just because of the design of it with the outboards under the cover. It's one of the first of its kind. All right, let's get out of our hole here. I'll tell you what the problem is here. Customer is saying we have no trim and tilt on either motor. So let's push the button and see if they do anything. I can hear the motor running. Let's see which one's doing it. This is the only bad part about it. This boat, if you're a mechanic, these motors are tucked inside of this, underneath this. So if you have to do any work or anything like that, you pretty much have to take this off or remove all of this stuff so that you can do it. Let's push our trim button here and see if we get any movement. Alright, well, that one I can probably tell you, since the motor's spinning, it's got a seal leak or something and it's lost all of its fluid. This one's stuck up a little bit. This means something else has failed here. Let's see if we can get it to move. Yeah, all I hear is clicking on this one. So we'll pull the cowling on this. We could probably shoot power to make sure if our motor's running or not. And then we'll verify that the relay or something has went bad in this one. It's kind of weird that they both have failed at the same time for different reasons, it looks like here. And there's one of our new Pursuits right there. You see in the distance a little Pursuit over there. Everywhere I go, our boats are littered. Let me get the cowling off the port side here, and then I'll get my power probe hooked up so we can shoot power right to the motor and see if it reacts. Well, I was going to use my power probe here, but I hooked it up. Like, why don't I have power? Figure my battery's in it, but this thing has seen better days. I've had this thing for quite a while. Still works fine. I'm gonna have to fix our ends here, because watch, if I wiggle the wire up here, it'll turn on and off. As soon as I let it go, it goes away. We're not gonna use that. We'll fix that later. Let's go the old school way and get our meter out. We got our cowling off, I got the cover off so we can get to our trim and tilt relay here. There's 3 10mm bolts that take this cover off. It goes on the front of the motor here. This is our trim and tilt relay. What I'm going to do is push the button. These are our big motor wires here, so essentially it just sends power from the switch to our relay, and sends big power and ground either way back to our motor. So first right there, that's checking power. He's got his chargers on, as you can see. That's power to the relay, so we have good power to it. All right, so now I'm on the up relay side. So when I push up, I should get the same amount of voltage supplied to the motor. So you see, it's sending voltage to the motor there. We'll try the down side. Yeah, we got voltage to our motor there. The starboard side has actually got a leak or something because the motor's running, but it ain't going anywhere, which is common. Lost all its fluid, no more hydraulic pressure. This side, relay's good, everything's good, motor's not spinning. It's kind of a 2-for-1 if you'd call it here, and they both have different problems, which is kind of weird. Well, that being said, I gotta go give the customer the good or bad news, whatever way you want to look at it here. And I gotta head back to the shop, do some paperwork, and call it a day. It's Friday. As always, I appreciate everybody watching, and I'll see you next time. Later. Well, we made it back, and look, that little 238 is at our shop. I was right.